What is propaganda that most people do not realize? I live in Arkansas, which is one of very few states to still have dry counties, counties where no or very little alcohol can be sold. This year, for the second election in a row, we will have an amendment on our ballot to allow its sale statewide because it didn't pass in 2014. There are billboards scattered all over the dry counties with sayings like "Protect County Rights." Most people don't realize those were paid for by county line liquor stores, which are exactly what they sound like, stores that set up shop right at the edge of a wet county to be the closest stop for anyone coming in from the dry county to buy alcohol.
It's funny how things work out. Living in a dry county means you really get to know the borders well. People will drive to that liquor store just outside to grab drinks for parties. The billboards for county rights caught my eye, but it's clear who's funding them. It's all a bit silly when you think about it, how some shops thrive on the very restrictions they're arguing against.
All crime/war movies/TV shows. Last time I checked, the vast majority of soldiers aren't spec ops going on secret missions, and most cops/government agency employees aren't super spy SWAT. They serve as a glorified recruitment videos. But hey, they work. America has a surplus of soldiers/cops looking to be special forces/SWAT.
I get what you mean. Most soldiers and cops don't have those wild experiences. They deal with everyday stuff, not the movie hero moments. It's interesting how media shapes perceptions. I have a friend who joined the police thinking it would be like the movies. After a few months, he realized it was mostly paperwork and routine calls. It's a big difference from the action-packed scenes we see.
The Spanish Inquisition. No one expects. It's not propaganda that it existed, but the notion that it was especially brutal and all-powerful was Protestant propaganda that stuck in the consciousness of British people for centuries afterwards. In reality, it was pretty average for a secret police force of its time.
It's interesting how history gets twisted. A lot of people think the Spanish Inquisition was this bloodthirsty force, but really, it was just doing what many other secret police did back then. The British narrative really shaped how we view it today. Most of the brutality we hear about is pretty exaggerated. Just goes to show how narratives can be influenced by political agendas over time.
Even reporting the truth without being bombastic is propaganda, depending on how it's phrased. Imagine two newspapers, each accurately reporting the results of the California primary, but with two perfectly reasonable different headlines. 1. Hillary clinches nomination in California win. 2. Despite California win, Hillary fails to clinch the nomination. Must appeal to superdelegates.
It's interesting how the same facts can lead to totally different interpretations. A buddy of mine used to point this out with sports scores too. He'd say, "You can say the team won, or you can say the other team lost." Both true, but they give a different vibe. It's all about perspective and how you frame things. Makes you think about what you're really trying to convey.
Children's entertainment. It's somewhat justified by the fact that its intended audience is largely incapable of processing complex moral issues, but that doesn't make its moral lessons any less slanted or simplistic. That's not even getting into programs designed to get kids to buy specific products.
Kids' shows often have pretty straightforward messages. They're not really meant to challenge kids to think deeply. It's all about keeping things light and fun so they can grasp the basics. Some can be a bit transactional, pushing kids to want certain toys. It's kind of a mixed bag when you think about it, focusing on entertainment, but also teaching kids how to navigate these commercial messages early on.
When I was young, I was absolutely terrified of breaking any laws. Not because I was just a good person at heart, no. I always thought that if I broke a law, that was it. Cops were going to catch me. I watched a lot of Cops growing up, and every episode they caught the bad guy. He never got away, He never committed a crime and escaped. They always caught him. I grew up to believe if I committed a crime, the police would catch me. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized that, no, police don't catch absolutely everyone.
I can relate to that fear. Growing up, I had this constant worry about getting into trouble. I remember avoiding things that seemed even slightly risky. I'd see those shows where they always caught the bad guy, and it stuck with me. It took me years to realize not everyone gets caught for everything. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's wild how a show can shape your view for so long.
Cilianing? Vaccines will make your eyeballs grow tumors. What? No, they won't. Can you prove that? Of course I can dash. Where? Where's the paper? Show me a medical paper that says they do not make your eyes grow tumors. W. But nobody's Ev. There isn't dash, see? You have no proof. Etc., etc. Gaslighting, straw men, and other discussion-halting debate tactics to shut down any sort of progression. It's used often here. Edit. The above-mentioned tactic isn't cilianing, it's machine gunning. My fault for not mentioning the distinction. Cilianing is the same, only done in a fake, saccharine pleasant manner, so that when you get frustrated, they claim you've gotten angry and emotional, and that they won because they stayed calm.
It's funny how some people argue just to argue. I remember a friend who would always pull this off. He'd act super polite while questioning everything, making the other person feel crazy for even responding. It got pretty exhausting. You'd end up just wanting to walk away, and he'd claim victory because he stayed calm. It's a weird tactic, but some seem to love playing those mind games. Not sure it proves anything, though.
It was only this past year, 21 years old, about to graduate uni here in the UK, that I even learned what critical thinking was and how to do it. All my friends that didn't go to uni have no concept of it and are the sorts to take newspaper articles as straight facts. I'm at a huge mental clash as to my opinion on the education system and its approach to critical thinking. On the one hand, everyone should be able to think critically and question everything they are told or taught. On the other hand, an entire world of people with such an ability would surely lead to anarchy. It's just sad that those in primary/elementary school, and even up to high school or beyond, are told this is fact, learn it, and not even taught about counter-arguments or questioning facts. Damn, maybe I've just gone hippie, but surprisingly coming from a science and military background, I now think some of the education system's most important subjects are religious/social/philosophy type studies. They open up an alternative educational paradigm that's simply not provided in the top-down positivistic STEM fields.
It's interesting how perspectives change over time. I remember when I first learned about critical thinking too. It really does make you see the world differently. It is concerning that so many don't get that training early on. I've had friends who just accept things as they are without questioning. It makes you think about what the education system prioritizes, especially with subjects that encourage broader thinking. Balancing knowledge with questioning seems essential.
At some point, you have to draw the line between something actually being propaganda, something try to subliminally change our thoughts, and someone just using their imagination to create a storyline. I'm in no means an expert, and I haven't even played the new Doom game, so take my comment with a grain of salt, but sometimes things just appear to be the way that they are.
It's interesting how we often question the intent behind stories. I remember chatting with a friend about video games and how narratives can influence us, even if unconsciously. They pointed out that not everything is meant to push an agenda. Sometimes, it's just about creativity. It's a fine line, and I guess we all interpret things differently based on our experiences. Just a casual thought worth pondering.
Mateship is more than a word. Actually, it's supposed to be part of our national identity, embodying loyalty and honor. No matter what you're going through, you can always rely on your mates to help you out. You can see why the military would want to exemplify the concept. They push it more than we do as a culture, really. I mean, everyone knows to stand by your friends. We don't need to identify it with words.
Yeah, I get that. Mateship really does define a lot of our connections. It's not just about having fun together, it's about being there when it matters. Like when a friend is going through a tough time, you just show up. The military knows this too. It's about building trust and camaraderie. In the end, it's just human nature to look out for each other. That's how real bonds are formed.
None of that was implied in /u/FredFredBug4's comment. They simply pointed out that the stories we tell reflect our culture's values, and provided two examples of well-known cultures with very different values to demonstrate this point. They described the Soviet ideals as being conformity and equality. Those aren't necessarily bad things. There's no need to get defensive. And yes, the US beat the Soviets in the who can do the coolest thing in space contest. But what the hell does that have to do with anything Opie said?
It's interesting how stories reveal cultural values. My friend often talks about how different cultures prioritize individualism or community. We recently had a debate about achievements in space exploration. While we admired US successes, it was clear that the broader discussion mattered more. It wasn't about competition but sharing different perspectives. It's easy to get defensive, but understanding each other is key. Just some food for thought.
That's why I volunteer to do occasional science lessons in my kiddos' elementary classroom. I gotta wow them a bit, make them think, and they learn some life lessons about sharp objects, long metal measuring tape that one kid tried to pull from the hands of another ended up with blood and band-aids. I know I got a few of them to start thinking differently, since they still come up to me months after a lesson and show me how they've since experimented in their lives with a given topic. They also taught me that I'm no teacher, and that I have to carefully construct a lesson so as not to allow weaponizing household objects. Even if those lessons would be fun, just doing my part to fight back a bit.
It's interesting how you can think you're sharing knowledge but end up learning as much as the kids. That measuring tape incident sounds intense. Kids can be surprisingly resourceful when it comes to finding ways to experiment. It's good that they're coming to you with their ideas. Helping them think creatively is valuable, but yeah, teaching kids definitely requires careful planning. It's nice to see you're making an effort to inspire them while also keeping things safe.
I went to a private honor school up until the 8th grade. My first month in public school was an absolute horror show. No one cared. The students didn't want to learn, and the teachers just put on movies and left the room. Even my own grades slipped for the first time because I wasn't being taught anything.
I get that. Switching from a structured school to a laid-back environment can be tough. It sounds like you were used to a different kind of learning. When no one is motivated, it can feel isolating. Grades dropping just adds to the stress. It's a big adjustment when you're coming from a place where education was prioritized. Just gotta find a way to stay focused despite the chaos around you.
I had a friend come back from China after 6 months working there, and he says he will never set foot in the country again. He didn't see blue skies for 6 months and had to dry his clothes inside, because if he did it outside on the balcony, they would be dirty again by the end of the day. So the pollution part is pretty true.
Sounds like your friend had quite the experience in China. 6 months without seeing blue skies is rough. It's wild how something like pollution can affect daily life so much. I can see why he wouldn't want to go back. Drying clothes inside must have been a hassle too. Just reminds you how lucky we can be with clean air and good weather sometimes.
All media has a bias. May not be propaganda technically, but it's not like all media is completely impartial. While yes, I agree with you to a degree, I think the answer to getting the most unbiased media experience you can is not only diversifying the sources, but more importantly to think critically and look for biases/propaganda in the news.
I had a friend who always tried to balance out the news he consumed. He'd pick one outlet he thought was too skewed and then find another that he considered the complete opposite. It was a bit of a routine for him, watching clips and then debating what was really going on. It made him more aware of the narratives, but sometimes it felt like too much work just to get the news.
I appreciate the Australian mentality of brotherhood and friendship. It's a great thing to have as a part of your national identity. I meant that I found that mate, which means friend, could be used the same way friend makes friendship, a little humorous. Just something I never considered, and it gave me a chuckle.
Yeah, I get that. It's cool how language can show different sides of friendship. It's funny how a simple word like mate can carry so much warmth and humor. It makes the whole vibe feel more relaxed and down to earth. Those little cultural differences can really shape how we connect with others. A good laugh with a mate is something special, for sure.
The German guy whose life they spared turns against them. Do you think he had a choice? At that stage in the war, Hitler was sending literally any man capable of holding a gun into battle. The German likely rejoined with his commander/battalion and had a rifle shoved in his hand while being told to march towards the enemy. He didn't turn against them. He likely had no choice at all.
It's tough to think about what people go through in war. This guy probably didn't want to fight. When you're caught in that situation, you do what you have to survive. It's not about turning against anyone, it's about staying alive and following orders. War doesn't really give people options. Just one big mess that messes with everyone's lives.
You want a great example of random enemy soldiers getting mowed down by an American, and how Hollywood glorifies war. Compare First Blood, the first Rambo movie, with literally any other Rambo movie. The messages are completely different. The character is different. While I enjoy later Rambo movies as mindless action movies, I don't think the first one should ever have had a sequel. Just my opinion.
I get what you mean. The first, Rambo, definitely has a deeper message about the effects of war and the struggles veterans face. The sequels lean more towards action with less focus on that theme. It's interesting how Hollywood shifts the narrative over time. The later films can be fun to watch, but they don't carry the same weight as the original. Just feels like a different character entirely.
Do you have to be taught how to think critically? I mean, it should kind of come naturally to you that most people don't know what they're saying half the time. Isn't don't believe everything on the internet the basic form of critical thinking that you then apply to everything else in life? E.g., don't believe everything in the media. A healthy dose of cynicism is good, just within normal limits.
I think critical thinking should develop naturally, but it doesn't for everyone. Some friends just take everything at face value, which can be frustrating. I remember a discussion where one guy believed everything he read online. It took a lot of effort to help him see the other side. A little skepticism can save you from a lot of nonsense, but too much can make you cynical. It's all about balance, really.
It's 36 months of school and books. They want you to really push through the course load. As someone who used them, I ended up getting a bachelor's and all but 2 courses of my MBA done, but between work and a 2-year-old, it was a bit stressful at times. I just wanted to say that for anyone who may see that and make a decision. Not that I think many people on Reddit are making their career choices based on posts by random strangers.
Yeah, I get it. Juggling school, work, and family is tough. I had a similar situation where I was working while studying. It felt overwhelming at times, but you just have to keep at it. It's a lot of pressure, especially with a little one around. But it can pay off in the end if you manage to balance it all. Just stay focused on your goals.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.